The Geocoding API is an online service that lets you easily find information about locations. You can find information about this API on this web page. Using this service, you can pass in a latitude and a longitude and get back a matching location, or you can pass in a city name, a zip code, or a landmark and get back the latitude and longitude. There are some usage limits, and you should be familiar with them. If you're using the free API, you're limited to 2,500 requests per day per API key, and up to 5 requests a second. With a paid license for Google Maps API for Work, you can increase that to 100,000 requests a day and up to 10 requests a second. This documentation is a part of the Web Services docs for the Geocoding API, and you'll find information here about how to work with it, getting back JSON and XML formats. But that's not how you use it in Android. In Android, we'll use a class named Geocoder. This class wraps up all the request and response functionality and delivers everything back to you as Java objects. The class has instance methods named getFromLocation and getFromLocationName to geocode or reverse geocode a location. In this demonstration, I'm going to use the method getFromLocationName. I'll pass in a location name provided by the user and get back a list of address objects. And I'm working in a new version of my project called Geocoding. In this version of the project, I've modified my layout to incorporate a simple data entry form. The user will be able to type in a string and touch the search button, and that will activate a geocoding request. In the application's current state, I can touch the text edit object, and that brings up the soft keyboard. I can then type in a value and touch search, and I'll see a toast message indicating what I typed in, but right now I'm not affecting my map. So I'll go back to my code and make some changes. In the layout, I have a button that has an on-click event handler, and that's calling a method named geolocate that's in my main activity. I'll control or command click, and that jumps to that method. And I'll show you that first I'm hiding the soft keyboard using another custom method that I've also added, and then I'm using some pretty conventional code to find out what the user entered and display it in a toast message. So now I'll add code here in the geolocate method. First, I'll create an instance of the geocoder class. This is a member of the package Android.location. And in fact, the geocoder class in Android is wrapped into the location API, and that in turn is a part of the Google Play Services framework. I'll name the object GC for geocoder, and I'll get its reference by calling its constructor method, new geocoder, and I'll pass in this as the required context. Next, I'll declare a list. This is the standard Java interface, and I'll set the data type of the objects in the list to address, and this is a member of the same package as the geocoder. I'll name this just list, all lowercase, and I'll get its value by calling gc.getFromLocationName, and I'll pass in my search string that the user entered. The second required argument is the maximum number of results I want. It's possible to get back a bunch of different results, and then I would have to iterate through the list and look for what I wanted, but in this case, I'm going to keep it simple. I'm going to assume that the user types in a valid string and I get back one useful result. So I'll pass in a value of 1. Notice the error indicator, and that's there because this method can throw an exception. So I'll move the cursor into the error area, and then I'll use an intention action, and I'll add an exception to the method signature, throws IO exception. So now I've made my request to the geocoding service and theoretically gotten back a result. I'll make sure that I got back a result with a conditional block, and I'll find out how many items are in this list. And I'll say if list.size is greater than 0, then process the result. Within the conditional block, I'll create an instance of the address class. I'll name it ADD for address. And I'll get its reference with list.get, and I'll pass in an index of 0. So now I have an object that represents everything I need to know about this location, and I'll use a few of its values. First, I'll get a string named the locality. With a successful search, the locality will represent the name of that location as known to the geocoding service. Now, that might exactly match what the user typed in, or it might be something different. And I'll get that value with add.getLocality. Notice all the different methods you can use to get various bits of information about a particular address. Next, I'll display a message saying this is what I found. I'll reuse this toast message. I'll cut and paste it and place it down here within my conditional block. And I'll change the message to found. And then, instead of the search string, I'll display the locality. And now I'm ready to change the location on my map. I'll create a couple of double variables. The first one will be named lat, and I'll get its value from add.getLatitude. And then my second one will be named lng, and I'll get that from add.getLongitude. And now I have all the information I need to change how the map appears. And I already have my method goToLocation that I defined in an earlier exercise. It's up here on line 105 right now. And so I'll call goToLocation, and I'll pass in my latitude and my longitude, and then a value of 15 for my zoom level. And I'm ready to test my code. As in a previous exercise, I'm starting in the city of Seattle using Java code that sets the initial state. But now I'll touch the Edit Text widget, and I'll type New York. Notice that I'm typing it all as a single string, but then when the search is complete, I get back the actual name of the city. That's the locality. Next, I'll try a landmark. I'll type Taj Mahal. And that takes me instantly to that location. And then I'll try a postal code, a zip code in the United States, 98122, and that's the neighborhood of Capitol Hill in the city of Seattle. And I'll zoom a little bit to show you where we are. So that's an introduction to the Geocoding API. Try a variety of values that you might type into Google Maps and see how the Geocoding API works for you.